The old man sat alone by the window, sunlight pouring over his silver hair as if the morning itself was trying to comfort him. Outside, the city moved in a blur of taxis and hurried footsteps, but inside that small cafe, time seemed to slow around him. His suit was perfectly tailored, his watch worth more than the building he sat in, yet no one looked twice. No one offered help when he struggled to read the menu written in fast, slang-filled English. No one noticed the faint tremble in his hands. He was one of the wealthiest men in Japan, a billionaire whose name once dominated headlines, yet in that moment, he was invisible. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel One Heart Stories. Stories like this remind us that a single act of compassion can change someone's entire world. Kenjiro Takahashi had built an empire from nothing. Decades earlier in Osaka, he had slept on factory floors while designing microchips that would later power half the world's devices. His company, Takahashi Innovations, had grown into a global giant. Business magazines once compared him to legends like Masayoshi Son and even Warren Buffett. But success came at a cost. His wife passed away young. His only daughter moved to Europe and slowly stopped calling. And when a hostile boardroom takeover forced him into early retirement, the man who once controlled billions found himself controlling nothing, not even his own loneliness. He had come to America quietly, without assistants or translators. He wanted to prove to himself that he could still move through the world without privilege cushioning every step. But reality felt colder than he expected. At the airport, staff rushed past him. At his hotel, the receptionist spoke too quickly, her smile fading when he asked her to repeat herself. And now, inside this bright daytime cafe filled with the smell of roasted coffee beans and warm bread, he faced something as simple as ordering breakfast and felt defeated. The menu may as well have been a wall of code. The words blurred. His English, once sharp in boardrooms, felt rusty outside business language. People behind him in line sighed impatiently. One man checked his watch dramatically. Kenjiro bowed slightly in apology, a habit ingrained since childhood, but no one understood the gesture. He stepped aside, pretending to study the pastry case while shame burned in his chest. He had negotiated billion-dollar contracts, faced ruthless competitors, and survived economic crashes. Yet here he was, unable to ask for tea without feeling like a burden. That was when she noticed him. Aiko Morales had been working double shifts for weeks. Half Japanese and half Mexican, she grew up translating for her grandparents in Los Angeles. She understood the quiet panic in someone's eyes when language failed them. From behind the counter, she saw the older man's posture dignified but shrinking, as if trying not to take up space. She walked over, sunlight catching the small silver sakura pendant around her neck, and greeted him softly in Japanese. The effect was immediate. Kenjiro's eyes widened. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. Then she repeated herself, her accent gentle but respectful. The tension drained from his shoulders so suddenly it was almost visible. He answered cautiously at first, then with growing warmth. The cafe noise faded as they spoke. For the first time since arriving in the country, he did not feel lost. Aiko helped him order green tea and a simple breakfast. She even recommended a quiet park nearby where cherry blossoms had begun to bloom early that year. When she handed him his tray, she bowed slightly. It was a small gesture, but to him, it felt like home. He sat down by the window again, but everything had changed. The sunlight felt warmer. The tea tasted richer. All because someone had seen him. Over the next few days, Kenjiro returned. Not because the cafe had the best food, but because it had Aiko. They spoke in short conversations during her breaks. He learned she was studying engineering at a community college but struggling to pay tuition after her father lost his job. She never complained. She simply worked harder. Kenjiro listened more than he spoke. For years, people had listened to him because they wanted something. Aiko listened because she cared. One afternoon, as the cafe buzzed with the brightness of midday customers, a group of businessmen entered. They recognized Kenjiro instantly. News of his quiet visit to the US had apparently spread in financial circles. They rushed to greet him loudly, suddenly eager to shake his hand, offering assistance he hadn't received days earlier. The shift was painful but clarifying. Kenjiro realized something profound: respect that appears only when wealth is visible is not respect at all. He finished his tea calmly. Before leaving, he handed Aiko a small envelope. Inside was not money, but a business card with his personal number written on the back and a simple note in Japanese encouraging her never to give up on her engineering dreams. Weeks passed. Aiko almost forgot about the card, assuming it was just a polite gesture. Then one morning, she received an email. Takahashi Innovations was launching a new international scholarship program for first-generation engineering students. Her name was at the top of the acceptance list. Kenjiro had returned to Japan, but he carried something new with him. Not bitterness. Not pride. But gratitude. A single greeting in his native language had reminded him that he was more than a balance sheet. More than headlines. He was a human being who still needed connection. A year later, Aiko stood on a stage in Tokyo as one of the youngest interns at Takahashi Innovations. In the audience, Kenjiro watched quietly, no longer as a lonely billionaire, but as a mentor. When their eyes met, they bowed to each other not out of obligation, but mutual respect. The world often overlooks the quiet struggles of others. We assume wealth protects people from loneliness. We assume power erases insecurity. But sometimes, all it takes is a single moment of recognition to restore someone's faith. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and comment to support the message of kindness. And before this story ends, I have one special request: comment the word kindness if you believe small acts can change big lives. Because in the end, it wasn't money that saved Kenjiro Takahashi that day. It wasn't status or reputation. It was a simple greeting in his own language, offered under the soft light of an ordinary morning. And sometimes, that is all it takes to turn a stranger into hope.